Yeah, we got our previews of what this series was going to look like in our semifinals, but now it's pure speculation. It is up in the air. PvZ, Stats versus Solar. I typed everything into Google Translate, and I got to listen to it. And I got to listen to it as well.
Beautiful. Oh boy. I hope everyone in the chat is ready for it because we have a Spanish intro to do.
That we do. We almost didn't do it. We almost forgot.
We almost forgot. It almost went past us. But bienvenidos todos. Aquí estamos en los finales de ESL Open Cup Asia. We are here in... Oh my god. Estamos aquí en este PvZ. Y aquí en la sección inferior de la mapa Romanticide E tenemos el coreano, el Protoss. Él es el escudo de South Korea. Aquí está. Y también hay Fs in the chat. Todos as se va a poner calvo. Se va a ir al military, unfortunately. Oh my god. Pero aquí tenemos, está representando el equipo Africa Freaks, es Stats.
Y apareciendo aquí en algún rincón del mapa, el mapa es una versión EE. Aquí de Corea tenemos al jugador Zerg de color que representa a KC Gaming. KZG es el jugador más brillante de todo StarCraft. Es Sola. Panel.
Beautiful. did you translate panel to panel?
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's what we want. That's what we want. Oh god. Here we go.
After all, he is más brillante.
He is. He's the most brilliant of all players.
Brightest.
I know.
Synonymize that, yeah.
He is the brightest. El brilla el más en todo el mundo. Here he is. And we'll see how things turn out. This is Romanticide, mate. We've seen plenty of PvZs on this map.
We have, and they're not known for being quick. Unfortunately for Solar here. So I wonder if he's going to play into that. You know, just try to have his late game now. See if it... Get this out of the way as quickly as he can, or if he's still going to try to end this game early with a push.
I've seen Solar on this map before. We've seen him just send units through this center area. Just send it. You know, the queens through the center of the map. I would be surprised if he opts to be the defending player and actually go to the late game. But we'll see. We'll see. It's been some time since we've seen Solar here. Maybe he has a different approach to the game, to the matchup.
Taking a page out from his peers, his Korean peers this time. He mostly, for the most part, he's been taking inspiration from the EU server.
That he has, and we will see how Solar, what he has in store for us from that European server. As Stats, he's going for the Void Rays. This is what we know him for. This is what we love him for. Solar, what's his plan here? You see, what are you thinking? You thinking queen push? You thinking Hydras? You thinking +1 carapace?
I would like infestors.
Oh,
to rush into them.
This is what I love
that would
about.
Be a terrible idea.
This is what I love about Dark. I don't know if you were able to catch Dark versus Trap in Super Tournament. But that was beautiful what he was able to accomplish. It was actually on this map. And Dark won. Of course, Dark, he took it to the late game. And if you recall that series, that game, he actually had all these infestors and he mainly used them for Neuroparasite.
He did. It's coming back to me.
He did a couple of nice moves. He mind controlled the Oracle and he threw down his own stasis wards. And that was that amazing clippable moments where he actually neuroparasited a disruptor and he used the disruptor to take out the zealots of Trap.
Playing two races at the same time. Trap did a pretty good job of just, sticking that out till the end, but I think if I remember correctly, Dark just outmined him when it's all said and done.
Yeah, like it was really impressively done by Dark. Again, just a completely different approach. Like he was even like burrowing his hydras and stuff like that. Like it was crazy the way that he was handling his army. It's something that no one else does. I don't expect that from Solar, but I'm just throwing out ideas of like different ways to approach this matchup as a Zerg player.
Yeah, sort of spitballing here at the Zerg conference. Like, okay, what if we do this to beat Protoss?
And Solar's like, nah, mate.
I can imagine that's an actual thing. Yeah.
I just going for the all-in.
Yeah. Might as well.
Oh boy.
And stats, I mean, you mentioned that you love him for the Void Race. I love him mostly for his Oracle control. Not in that case, though.
Yeah, the
Losing it
Oracle.
out a little bit quick.
It does get cornered.
Stats.
Yeah, just a little bit, as he does lose it in the end. So a couple of Void Rays are here, kind of threatening this fourth base. There isn't too much creep here, so it could potentially be cancelled, most likely. But
yeah, it's probably gonna have to be. There we go. And Solar being a little bit greedy, which I kind of like here on Romanticide. He knows that Stats is gonna be a lot more defensive on this map, so might as well just be as... Okay, so Armani isn't the only one who goes. Huh?
do you think Armani messaged Solar?
Armani isn't the only one who goes for Carapace. I think he did.
It's possible. It's also, to be fair, Armani's Carapace was a lot faster. So much faster. This game, the lair was taken first before the Evo Chamber. Oh my god, forced to cancel again.
So that's making the absolute most use of these Void Rays. You know, Solar, he is getting another Evo Chamber, so yeah, he's not just going to be pure Carapace upgrades. Not going to be neglecting his, well, I was going to say range, but he's actually going for a Baneling Nest.
Interesting. He's going Ling Bane Roach Ravager, it looks like. To be fair, he's still making a decent... he's actually making a lot of queens. So, once again, we should be seeing a queen-heavy composition coming out from Solar, opting to avoid the Hydralisks.
I think I can kind of see the thought process here for Solar, right? He knows how defensive a Protoss player can be on this map, how well they can wall up. So maybe just trying to bust through that and then flood with Lings and Roaches?
I guess so. I'm just waiting for the Hydra then, because like Solar is banking a lot of gas. Like look at that gas. Like this like that gas is usually that's usually spent on Hydralisks. Maybe he's banking them up to turn all his Roaches into Ravagers. I guess that'll be a decent use of them as he does Morphin 6.
Yeah, looks already pretty good. Also do need quite a bit of gas here for Banelings, but not that much, I would say.
Oh boy, and we'll see if Solar is a little bit too distracted. His main army is here in the center of the map. At the same time, Stats is getting ready to dive in with his War Prism, but Solar doesn't even care. He's going for the attack.
There's some major deja vu vibes over here, Light, from that Juggernaut game against Armani. Into a bit of a pseudo base race here.
Oh god, and this is gonna hit hard. There are Banelings incorporated as well. The upgrades are slowly about to finish up. Stats has to give up this base.
And he does. He retreats to the high ground, a much more defensible position. But meanwhile, these Zealots wreaking havoc in just about every base here of Solar brings the entire army back.
Solar is almost maxed out and everything comes back home. This Zealot run by is massive for Stats, able to buy as much time as possible. I'm just a little bit concerned because what's he doing with that time? I would have expected a bunch of shield batteries being thrown down, but he's just kind of chilling.
He really wants that fourth base, Light.
Stop! Expand to the south. Oh god.
He needs it. It's his calling.
Jesus Christ.
Not a lot of shield batteries over here. He does have some High Templar with a lot of storm energy. Gonna be helping him a lot against these Ling Bane, but not sure how much utility they'll have after that. And
he's going him again.
Shield batteries.
The Zealots.
Is Solar just all armying this?
He is.
You don't imagine Solar as all army player. It's absolutely huge. So many of them taking out their energy. Even outright killing a couple.
Oh my god, Solar, please! Like, he's being pulled apart by this lone War Prism. This War Prism is saving Stats the game, but oh, is it a little bit too late to say that though? Because the High Templar, they're getting pounced upon.
Just like so many Banelings He's also gonna have to be so careful with how they engage. The Void Rays trying to do whatever they can, but the Banelings, they do come in. Takes out majority of the ground army.
Exactly. You know what? The shield batteries are depowered. It's only Void Rays here remaining. There's still plenty of queens for that anti-air. Ooh, even takes a couple of biles to the face as well. And Solar, despite being pulled back, despite all that harassment, it looks like he should have enough to break this third.
Well, the carriers are out now, Light. So we'll see about that. Queens are ideal anti-air against big units like Void Rays or carriers, not so much against little interceptors like so.
And you know what? You know what? There are only 2 queens left. That's the anti-air.
There are only 2 queens left. A lot of probes have gone down thus far, but a majority of the important units are still alive here for stats.
Yeah, and Solar
filling up his army and the attention of stats.
Yeah, Solar is aware of the position he's in. He knows that he just needs to deal as much damage as possible. He's trying to focus down the third base. He's trying to focus down the Nexus.
Should be able to get it! Should be able to get it! He gets it. And Stats in an absolutely terrible economic position, thus fourth.
Oh my god.
He really needs to go for a counterattack, but I'm not convinced he can. Almost losing that Immortal, the backbone of his ground army.
The only ground army. It's him and a Zealot.
Yes, a Zealot, yeah.
He's got 2 boys there.
That's a buddy cop movie waiting to happen.
Oh god. And meanwhile, the highway is still here. We've got 4 queens in production at a time. We've got plenty more where that came from. We've got Roaches, we've got Ravagers, we've got Ling Bane, everything that Solar would need. And Stats, he's only barely holding on with what he has. To be fair, like, he could maybe feed back. He still has plenty of units in the sky. Maybe he can kill all the queens.
He could, but there's just way too much around here for Solar. Stats will be able to deal with it eventually, but how much damage are they going to cause in that time? The Queens now really doing a good job against this Sky Toss.
Yeah, that they are. There are just so many queens here. The rest of the ground army is being dealt with, to be fair, by the carriers, but like, how long can Stats keep this up here? Ooh, nice storms.
Really good storms. Taking out a lot of Lings, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Again, the Queens, they're still up and running. Archon's being taken out before they finish morphing. Stats is trying to do whatever he can, but again, don't think it's going to be enough. The Cert base should go down, and with it, Stats' victory as well.
Yeah.
So he's gonna take this.
Yeah, exactly. The Banelings are going to be crashing in. The third base is getting lower and lower. To be fair, there's no more energy for Transfuse, so if these queens get cleaned up, then Stats will be able to hold again. The Archons, they're dealing with all the Lings. Mate. But the third goes down.
Stats is somehow holding this, but yeah, it's really the reinforcements you have to worry about. Again, the highway is still up and running. It's more of an expressway now. GG is called. Solar taking game number 1. Feels like Stats played that out a little stubborn.
He did. He did not respect the army of Solar. There were no additional shield batteries thrown down. There was like 2 at the third and like 2 at the natural, and that's it. Like he was banking a lot. I was looking at the resources when the attack started to happen. He had like 1k minerals, like almost 1k gas as well. He was like, to be fair, he was also waiting to like warp in, but like he had those resources available to him to throw down some structures and make the SimCity work in his favor. And he had time to do it because of the amount of times that he kept pulling Solar back home. Yeah,
funnily enough, that Warp Prism really keeping Stats alive for as long as he could, but yeah, once that got taken out, a lot of the chances as well went with it.
Yeah. Like, I want to
really baffling. You want to imagine Stats as that very, very defensive player, and even without the shield batteries or the cannons at his disposal, he was doing a really, really good job of just keeping Solar back for as long as he could. But you can't help but wonder, you know, with a couple more shield batteries, maybe with an overcharge or 2, he would have been able to completely turn that game on its head.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to like praise Stats and at the same time like scold him because he did because those Zealot run-bys were insane. Like, he was dealing a lot of damage. He was pulling the army back like 2-3 times over again. Like, that was a really good job, like, multitasking on the other side of the map. And as that was happening, he kept trying to expand. He kept trying to take that forward fourth. Like, it's like, mate, calm down, buddy. Like, take the high ground. You know, throw down some shield batteries, throw down some pylons, throw down some gateways just to make a wall if you want. Like he saw how large the army was, right? He kept seeing it.
Yeah, he did. He had good eyes on that. You know, take the southern base if you had to.
Yeah.
Solar had absolutely no presence towards the south.
He had no creep there either, right? Like, the creep was focused on that lone highway through the center of the map. So Stats had an opportunity there to defend, and despite not throwing down what he needed, those shield batteries, like, he almost held, like, barely. Like, he was doing the best he could with what he had. He just could have had more.
Really could have. And if he did have more, then, well,
probably would have won.
He would have taken that game.
He probably would have. But in the end, what happened. GG. Solar does take the first game, and now we are getting ready to get into game number 2. We have our lobby, we have our casters. It looks like we're just waiting for the players to ready up.
We have our WCS.
We
do. We have our game heart.
We do.
Getting in here. Players are eager. In fact, I believe so eager that one of them was the wrong race for a sec. Luckily, we were able to leave and come back in, rectify that.
Yeah. All right. Solar is back. He has returned. We are getting into the next game.
That we are. It's going to be on Light Shade. I'm now noticing that Solar's banner is a Hydralisk. Saps' banner, it's a DT with a Hydralisk skull.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
It really is. Somewhat threatening. As we continue on here on Lightshade LE, we're here in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner. The blue Protoss player coming out of the land of South Korea. Almost in New Zealand. He is going to be representing Afrika Freaks. Light. Free, are you?
Down in Montreal.
He is representing Afrika Freaks. Stats.
And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing KZ Gaming KZG. It is Solar.
So, Carapace the same?
I guess so. I guess Carapace is the way. Question mark.
Yeah, Armani's gonna design a line of suits or something.
You know what?
That.
You know what Armani's
Carapace suits actually.
Yo, that could work. That actually sounds good.
Protective as well as fashionable.
I wouldn't be surprised if right now Armani he's messaging players. He's like, look. It works. Solar went +1 armor and +1 carapace, and it worked. I told you guys I wasn't crazy. You know,
well, you have to imagine, right? It's like the difference between going for a quick eBay and going eBay first for Terran. They'll point that out and say, "Look, well, yeah, but Solar also got another Evo chamber shortly after.
He did.
You got attack upgrades as well.
He did. God damn it, Armani. But we are getting into the swing of things here. We are on Lightshade. We did see Solar on this map previously against Patience. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that game.
I was purging it from my memory. You had to bring it back on up.
If you're tuning in now and you missed out on some of the earlier rounds, I do recommend tuning into the VODs. Patience versus Solar. It's a solid meme.
Say the least.
It's great. It's entertaining. It's beautiful. You won't regret going back there and watching it when you have time.
You might regret the rabbit hole it takes you down, though.
True.
When you have to, try to figure out the logic behind it.
Yeah. It may destroy you mentally. But it's worth it. Question mark.
It's up to you, this idea viewer.
Exactly. At your own risk, watch the VOD. Oh god.
You can handle it.
Meanwhile, oh, this slow
Very
lane.
nice scout here from Solar.
Yeah, solid.
Knows that it confirms that it is going to be a Void Ray opening. And I mean, we kind of joked about it a little bit while we were casting stats, but no, he is really legitimately a player who is unafraid to switch things up every now and then. So it's important for someone like Solar to confirm that.
Exactly. Like, you can't just like turn your brain off and just like assume what your opponent is doing and just try and blindly react to that. At this level of play, it's important to scout, because you know, as soon as you do that and you neglect your scouting, then that's when stats does something different, and then you're just what are you gonna do? You know, you put yourself behind. So well done by stats. Sorry, Solar.
Yeah, well done by stats as well. Just, you know, sending out the Void Rays. I mean, that was it the Jagannatha game, or was it the Oxide game where Stats just had such a presence with his Void Rays, preventing the Overlords from going to the other side of the map and then went to DTs. I would kind of like to see that again from Stats, but it's up to him. He's actually going for a double Stargate play this time.
Yeah, once again, it's kind of what he's been going for. This time, the Oracle does attempt to go into the main base. Despite there being no Spore, the Queens do push it away.
This time, not going to be losing our Oracle. Going to have a lot more utility with it.
Oh, yeah.
A couple stasis forwards for when Sola inevitably decides to become more aggressive. Does confirm the third base.
Yeah.
Sola does.
Does kill off a probe as well. Nicely done. At the same time, Stats is trying to go back into the main base, and there once again there is no Spore, so damage can be found.
Quite a bit of damage. Target firing as many drones as he can. Back it away. 4 drones. Just about as much damage you can get with a single Oracle.
Yeah, Solar being punished for his greed. He was trying to get away with neglecting his Spores. He was trying to defend with only Queens, but they were just out of position. They were busy going around and injecting, and that did allow Stats to slip in with his Oracle.
Not the worst damage in the world here for Solar. I mean, he's still ahead by a pretty decent amount. But still, you don't want to be remaking those drones with your larva. You want to be pumping out more lings. Or potentially more roaches.
Yeah.
So you decide to go.
And we'll see how much damage these Void Rays can get done, because you have that magic number. We have 4 Void Rays out, and they are going to be slipping into the main base. There are 2 free Overlords. He could try and focus down that Spore. Ideally, that Spore buys enough time for the rest of the Queens to come out and help.
And from their Stats doesn't really have a good exit point. Doesn't commit to this. Just really ideal.
Oh, and Stats, he's actually mixing things up here. He's going for a Robotics Bay.
You love to see it. Yeah, I mean, we did see this in his series against Armani. Unfortunately, it didn't really come to pass. But yeah, Stats looking to go into Void Ray Disruptor, it seems.
Interesting. Okay. I kind of want him to get like War Prison Speed as well. Just like drop disruptors. It's an interesting choice of AoE, because again, like, these disruptors are going to take the role of the charge lots for the time being anyway. Eventually, you know, Stats will work towards that as the Twilight Council is thrown down, but before that, he will be relying on those disruptor shots.
Yeah, which is absolutely key, especially against Queens. Again, these Void Rays really don't do much against them. They have a lot of health, but they don't have an armor tag.
No, they do not. So we'll see how good those Purification Novas are going to be. We'll see if, you know, this kind of surprises Solar, because at the moment Solar hasn't been able to go into the natural or the main in quite some time. So Stats, he may be able to juke his opponent, you know, kind of pull something out of left field.
Which can definitely work out. Again, this main downside going Ravager Queens like this is it is not a very maneuverable army.
Yeah. Oh.
There's plenty of opportunities. Solar sees the Disruptor.
He confirms as well. Okay, Solar is aware of the disruptors, so he knows. Okay. Like, I have to be ready to split my army when the attack happens. I have to be ready to pull away.
Gotta be a little bit more careful if I decide to move off a creep. I'm really gonna need to make sure this high ray is in position.
That he does. We'll even
Banelings once again. Okay.
Yeah, and here we go. This is very reminiscent to the game we just saw, game number 1, where he's pushing queens across the map. We've got Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager. Once again, the 4th base is under threat and will be forced to be cancelled. But this time Stats has disruptors.
Indeed, he does. A much better defensive position as well.
Can he time it?
Here on the high ground.
Can he time it?
I think he might.
Can he time it?
Unless he doesn't want to waste his purification.
Can he time it?
Nope. He might. He doesn't.
Can he time it?
Those Zerglings. He might.
He might. Here we go. Again, Solar is taking his time. Again, he denied the 4th base. That's good enough for now, but he's slowly getting up that ramp. The Disruptors!
Yeah, splitting his army as best he can. Disruptors do get surrounded by Lings. 1 Purification Nova hits, but not getting much. The other Purification Nova only getting a single Ravager. Things have gone from good to terrible here for Stats.
Oh my god, immediately the Cybernetics Core was taken out as well. Denies the upgrade. Storm is done, but there are no High Templar.
Yeah, they try to come in for a flank, but Storm doesn't do too much against units that have this much health, like Ravagers and Queens. Archon's trying to get taken out. Decent Purification Nova, but I doubt whether or not it's going to be enough. Solar, he might get a match point just like that.
He may. There are still 2 Disruptors behind this. They're saving their shots to try and go once again into this. But Queens, they're quite beefy, right? They can survive a shot. And the Lings, they're getting on top of the Disruptors.
That they do even depowers the main robo facility, unable to make more Disruptors. Queens, man, they are tanky.
That they are. The
Especially with some transfuse.
Yeah, and the Disruptors is going down. There's only 1 remaining, and it's so close. 1 shot away from going down. It looks like maybe the Void Rays can take out the Queens, but the Void Rays are going down.
Just barely. Disruptor is about to be off cooldown, but here we go. The Ravager takes it out. Rip that Purification Nova. GG is called. Solar. Man, oh man, Stats. I want to say he had an even better defensive position this game, but Solar, he took that out even easier.
He did. Oh my god, Stats relying on his disruptor shots. That was the problem though, because we saw the initial 3 disruptors, they didn't get really any damage done. They killed like a handful of Lings, maybe a Ravager,
And I was really anticipating those Purification Novas to really turn those tides, you know, maybe focus on some of these Queens, which are a little bit less maneuverable, but Solar did such a good job of just baiting out those hits with his Ravagers, which are a lot quicker, a lot easier to split up, and then just getting those Lings on top of the Ravagers, Disruptors, taking it out.
And once again, like, it's one of those things where Stats, he sees the army. He's like, I'm fine. It's like,
yeah, he sees that army, is like, I can take that.
Yeah.
He's like, doesn't have an arm.
It's understandable. Like, a lot of lesser players, maybe I could say a lot of other pros, they see that and they just throw down as much defenses as they can. They invest a lot in that to make sure they don't die. I assume that Stats is confident enough in his ability where he doesn't need that. Where he's like, okay, as long as I control this perfectly, and I know I can, then I should be okay. But like, when that doesn't happen, you know, you're up against Solar, right? Like,
when he's up against a player who can also control just about perfectly. Because again, I mean, not to try to put any of these other Zerg players down, but I mean, there is a pretty noticeable difference in micro between someone like Solar and someone like, say, Ragnarok or Armani, or even somebody a lot higher level like Rogue. Solar just micros a little bit better. But enough about that. We are here on what potentially might be the final map of the evening. I'm hoping that's not the case. It is Jagannatha LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. The blue Protoss player coming down from the land of South Korea. He is blessing the rains.
Down in New Zealand.
Representing the Freak of Freaks, the shield. He polished it, but now it's looking to get broken. He is Stats. Oi.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the Korean Zerg player. He is red. He's representing KaiZ Gaming, KZG. He is all about those crisp Queen timings. We'll see if he whips them out again here on Jagannatha. It is Solar.
what do we have planned this time? Normally, I would be looking at Solar, right? I would be looking at Solar and saying, okay, how are you going to avoid the late game Protoss? But
He's
now
done
I'm kind
that.
of looking at stats. Yeah, Solar's already shown us what he wants to do. So stats, how are you going to prevent Solar from killing you?
Exactly. Like when we look at stats, we talk about this all the time. He doesn't want to get into the late game. He's all about ending the game earlier. And a couple of months ago, like maybe 2 months ago, maybe even a little bit more, Solar was all about the Hydra timings. And we saw time and time again, it was a lot more coin flippy. It's like sometimes it would work, more often than not it wouldn't, against players like Stats, against players like Zest. And we see that nowadays in 2021, he has a more refined style. He's like, you know what? I don't care about Hydras. Screw the Hydras. I was in the wrong place. You know, it's all about the queens. It's all about the massive like Ling Bane Road Ravager pushes with that creep highway.
Yeah, so looking at this and saying, what was that one player who's now in the military that used to get a bunch of queens? All right, true. I need you, man.
Exactly.
Teach me your ways.
Oh god, True was ahead of his time.
He really was a visionary. It's unfortunate that now his genius is being utilized. He's in the military.
Exactly, mate. When he comes back from the military, he's gonna be ready. He's gonna be ready to make those queens.
Unless Blizzard nerfs it.
And we'll see. But yeah, it's like it looks like for the most part we figured out, okay, this is Solar's go-to in this matchup to end the game early. And Stats, it seems like he's just not used to it. It's like he's trying different things. He's not used to this timing, and we'll see if eventually he resorts to a more heavier defensive style or if he comes up with something else.
But so far is going with the good and reliable Void Ray first. Again, this does not really, pen him into any particular style. It's just a way for him to get to the mid game a little bit safer. And that mid game, he's got a lot of options. Is it going to be Twilight Council? Is it going to be more gates? Or Stargates, I should say. Or is it going to be immediate Fleet Beacon?
I'm also really curious as to how the meta will shift a little bit here, because it does feel like Solar, like what he's going for is kind of messing up like the template that Stats and maybe even Zest want to go for in this matchup, so they're going to have to be forced to adjust. And this is being revealed now, well before I am Katowice, so they're gonna have time to dissect this and be like, okay, this is what I need to optimally defend.
So players are gonna go into Katowice and they'll be like, how do they already know how to counter my adjustments? And they'll look at Solar and say,
They're like, God damn it, Solar, what are you doing? You're meant to hide that.
So it's like, but I need the money. I need the 200 first place.
He does.
I'm engaged now.
He is for quite some time. Oh boy. Okay, but so far, Stats is kind of sticking to his guns. He's still going for the double Stargate. He is sneaking in with this. Oh, he's going for the stats wards.
Okay. Very nice reaction for Solar at the last minute there. Interesting that Stats, I guess, not feeling too confident in his control this time. Opting for a bit of a safer option.
Yeah, that's fair, right? This is an opening that you've done every single game in this series, so I guess he's assuming that Solar is a little bit more prepared here in game 3, so he opts to go for the stasis wards instead.
We see Solar trying to reciprocate that with, okay, the wall is in fact a wall.
Ooh, beautiful. Okay, Stats, he does hold on for now. Meanwhile, Solar is going for that lair. It's about to finish up. Same time, we have the Evo chamber being thrown down. Plenty of queens in production. I would assume that Solar wants to go for another big push, or at least he's working towards it. We'll see if that's the case.
Yeah, well, the Evo chamber is being made. A lot more queens coming out. Overseer this time, as opposed to a Drop Lord. Just in case there are any DT shenanigans from Stats.
Oh boy. Okay, nicely done. He does deny this base, and ooh, Solar switching things up.
I'm a huge fan, I gotta tell you, Light.
Show us,
And
show
this
us the
isn't really the
mutas.
map of mutas.
Yeah, like mutas can work. We briefly talked about it earlier, and he has all the gases. You can go from Spire into mutas. You go across the map as fast as possible. You deal the damage. You force the Protoss to respond and go into Phoenixes, which halts the Void Ray production, really disrupts his whole flow. And from there, then Solar can comfortably go into Hydras. Or just commit.
From what... Yeah, you could definitely commit to more and more mutas. You know, before there's a stage before the Protoss player goes for that Aeon Pulse Crystal Phoenix range, where mutas can actually be pretty effective if they
No.
jump their Phoenixes. I have to imagine that Hydras are just about Solar's favorite unit.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I did lag out for. Yeah, I did lag out for a moment there,
okay.
but we're back. The stream is safe. Everything is safe. We're back. It's all good. No more picnics in the chat.
Yeah. No more picnics. Panics.
Exactly. And here we go. So Solar is
along those lines.
he is making his initial wave of mutas and immediately going to Hydras. So again, he's going for the 1-2 punch. He wants to try and deceive his opponent, do what he can with the mutas, and then switch into those Hydras. We'll see if Stats will be ready for the mutas.
Yeah, he does have a decent number of Void Rays, so if Solar reveals his hand a little bit too early, then they can do pretty well. But the mutas are already making their way across.
Ooh, that they are. The Spire was spotted, so Stats is aware he should be throwing static defense in all of his mineral lines, and for the most part, he has a bit. And here come the Mutalisks.
Trying to take out this base as quickly as he can. The Void Ray count is not high enough for Stats, and he just doesn't have a lot of Phoenixes. Literally only 2 at the moment.
That he
So
does.
it is a moment in time for Stats to just take advantage of this.
Yeah. The mutas, though, they have to deal a little bit more damage than just this. They deny the base, which is nice, but ideally you get into a mineral line, you know, you kill a decent amount of workers.
But you know what? That's only one side of the plan here for Solar, as immediately he switches into Hydras. Stats, he's investing so much into the Phoenixes here, Light, getting that range upgrade.
Exactly. That's what you hope for. That's the damage that you want to deal with Solar. You want him to switch his entire production into Phoenixes. You want him to invest into that when really, like, that's the worst unit you can get, you know? That's the same unit the Patience made.
Yeah, and guess what? Patience.
He lost, mate.
He's a genius. He lost, but he's genius.
Oh god, alright, here we go. The Hydras and the Lings are here. Ooh, the mutas are trying to dive on top of the Disruptors.
But there is enough in the sky to really deal with that. Handful of Lings are being picked up here. The Purification Nova hits so many of the Banelings.
Beautiful.
Now, the Queens are really the scariest unit out here for Solar with their transfused energy, but okay, Solar backing off.
He does back up for the
finish up.
Exactly. He's got a lot of upgrades on the way. You don't want to hit that anti-timing. Solar, he is maxed out though. He wants to trade as best he can.
He's trading decently well again. Man, these Disruptors, they get so close to taking out the Queens, but nothing to really clean up the damage.
Exactly, nothing quite yet. Solar, he's getting ready, but every single moment that passes is better for Stats to warp in a couple more units.
Indeed, it really is. But here comes Solar, trying to go in for a flank. Bailing speed finish just in time. Dodging a couple of these storms. Stasis ward keeping these Bailings alive, funnily enough.
Oh my
Solar
god.
is everywhere.
Exactly, and you know what? All the Disruptors have been taken out. There's only one remaining. There's only one High Templar as well. The Hydras are still standing strong. And what is there to deal with them? Goddamn Phoenixes.
Phoenixes and slow locks. Oh, worst case scenario here for Stats. He's actually trying to get out a Mothership, which maybe it can help if he's able to cloak enough of his army, but Soul's already here. Soul's already killing everything.
Exactly. The Lings are getting on top of the Warping In Zealots as well. There are only 2 Void Rays remaining. There is a Disruptor behind all of this, and maybe a Juicy Connection will be enough for Stats to hold on.
I'm just watching the production tab over here, Light. The Mothership's still very far off. Massive run by here from Stats. But this time, unlike Romanticide, Solar doesn't get chased all the way back. That was a really key Nova, though.
Ooh, that it was, and in the end, Stats just barely holds on. Solar, though, the problem is that, sure, he lost the hatchery, another one just finished up, so you can just transfer the workers over. So Solar has been unhindered in terms of his economy, but Stats, as you said, he holds on, and that mothership will pop out.
That's really the key unit here for Stats. There's not an easy way for Solar to deal with this. Again, Solar went in with a build that was meant to kill Stats before the late game comes in to play. How much more late game can you get other than Mothership?
Exactly. Oh god, and not just the Mothership, but plenty of support units. He has his High Templar for Storm, he has his Disruptors for those Novas. And with this, I think Stats should be fine for now, and Solar has to get ready for the next step. Oof.
That was aesthetic. Aesthetic Nova.
Oh god, beautifully done there by Stats. Solar, he's committing to the Lingbane Hydra though. Like, this is something that he wants to stay on this. He wants to attempt to end the game on this, which is a little bit worrying, right? Like, ideally you want to be working on your Hive, you want to be working on your Lurkers or your Vipers. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Stats.
Indeed, it really is. Solar, I mean, still kind of sticking on to what he has now. As you said, no Hive Tech, so no Vipers to deal with a Mothership like this.
Yeah, and to be fair, like,
this might be the most ideal scenario for Protoss.
But again, like, Stats doesn't have too many units. Like, he has nothing really to buffer for his spellcasters, and the Lingbane is going in. No!
But a High Templar, that was the vast majority of them. Only one remaining, and it doesn't have any energy left.
Oh my god, exactly. No more storms. All the High Templar were absolutely wasted. And could Solar break through this? There's still so many disruptors though.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so, considering the amount of disruptors with the Time Warp as well. Oof. This is going to be a very tough ask for Solar. GG's called. Stats fighting back, showing that the shield is still polished.
Ooh, that he is. And you know what? Solar, he tries to go back to his roots. He's like, yo, I'll go for another Hydra timing. That's the reason why they don't work anymore. Yeah, but GG Stats, he fights back. As you said, he is the Shield of Ire. He finally defends against one of Solar's pushes. And Solar, he may be thinking, you know, what did I do differently this game than in all the other games? I went for Hydras. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe.
Maybe. He also went for Mutas this game, but
he did.
That can't be it.
I love the idea that he went for Mutas, but yeah.
Yeah. It worked out pretty well, but yeah, the follow-up behind that.
I think
it was ideal for Solar, but Stats, he just tapped into his defensive force.
He did, and the thing is that, like, normally when you go for Mutas like that, like, he did deal some damage with it, but normally you want to like get some probe damage, right? And it's something that Solar
really
was.
Do.
Yeah, I don't think he got anywhere near a mineral line. He was just dancing around the army for the most part.
He really was. But now I think Solar, you know, he's getting his contact in the military, saying, "Yo, True, what should I have done?" And he's saying, "You need more queens." That's really it. As we continue things off here on Pillars of Gold, LE. We're here in the bottom left-hand corner map, swatting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. The blue Protoss player coming out from the land of South Korea. He is the one who blesses the rains.
Down in Indonesia.
He is representing the Afrika Freaks. He polished the shield right when it looked like it was going to break, and now he's really fighting back. Representing Afrika Freaks, he is Stats. Oi.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Pillars of Gold LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Kai Z Gaming, still up 2-1 in this best of 5 series. Can he close it out? It is Solar.
Final.
Duh.
Powered. much potential of soul in there.
There is. Oh boy. And what are we gonna see? What are we gonna see from Solar here? I mean, we saw the Spire play, which was nice. I don't think we're gonna see that again this series, even if this goes to the ace match.
Yeah, think of all the supply that went to Mutas. Put them into Queens. That's how I think this game is gonna go.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked for him in the past. Can it work again? Is the big question here.
You have to imagine it would. To be fair, Pillars of Gold is a really good. It is a really good map to defend on 2 bases on.
I'm also really curious because we've seen Stats evolve his style a little bit over the course of this series. I wonder if he's going to go Disruptors again. It's something that he's done in the last 2 games, and it may feel like he feels like that's what he needs to hold on.
Yeah, I was just getting warmed up with Disruptors from the game on, what was that map? Lightshade. So I didn't really work out in the last game. A lot better. And now he's feeling confident enough to just mass Disruptor drop. Nothing but Disruptors and Warp Prisms. Let's go.
He could do it. He could. But we'll see. Like, because I do think maybe there is some truth to that, where he feels like Disruptors, like, this is what I need to be doing. That's why we've seen it consistently so far. It's a peculiar answer, but it may be an answer. We'll see.
Well, it's an answer. We'll see if it's a good answer.
Yeah. That's kind of what we're waiting for as things are slowly getting underway. Once again, of course, Stats going for that Stargate opener. Ooh, gets a worker.
Yeah. Almost gets another, but did not want to risk that. This Adept is purely for scouting, confirming that that Solar rather is joining up that 3rd base, not going for anything too cheeky.
Yeah, that he is. The Overlords are going in, just to confirm everything, which everything is pretty straight up, pretty normal. Now, Solar, like, how early is that lair going to be? Are we going to see the Evo Chamber being thrown down again? Are we going to see +1 Carapace for whatever reason? I still don't quite know the math on that. I'm sure there is math behind it. Maybe?
That's why I don't want to go into it. I don't want to do the math with that.
You're like, I failed math. I want none of that.
I did. I got carried by what's it called?
English?
Flowcharts.
There you go.
In math, I mean. I did get carried from English, funnily enough, back in the day.
Oh, God.
I got carried by just writing down taxes, am I right, in math. And my teachers were like, oh shit, you're right. You're passing me.
There you go. That's all you needed.
It really was.
Okay, he's trying to shade in. Does he, I guess, confirms that there is no lair quite yet? We just see once again double Stargate, which, I mean, it's Stats.
It's what we expect from Stats at this point.
Yeah. Of course.
But again, I mean, he's been, as you said, evolving his style a little bit, going from double Stargate into Gateways, double Stargate into Disruptors, double Stargate into Fleet Beacon even. We'll see what he does a little bit differently this time, trying to pop that Stasis Ward a lot better for Sats than it perhaps should have been.
Yeah, Solar a little bit greedy there, a little bit late on pulling away the Queen and the drones, so a little bit more damage done there.
Yeah, a little bit more lost mining time, unable to get the injects that he really wants to get.
And we have quite a number of gases being taken. So far, we do have 5 out of the 6 available. So we'll see what kind of tech structure gets thrown down once this layer finishes up. Meanwhile, no Stats Ward. Oh, God!
No! Solar! The rally with the drones again. A little better for Stats than it should have been.
Yeah. These Stasis Wards should not be dealing this much damage. This is not right. Oh God, Solar is starting to crumble. Meanwhile, the base gets taken out before it gets thrown down, so the 4th cancel denied once again by these Void Rays. They are diving in, going to be taking out one of the gases.
Yeah, pretty important for Solar here if he decides to go for a more, Roach Ravager focused composition, or even if he goes into Hydras.
Already such a better start here for Stats. Solar, he is forced to expand over on the left-hand side. And once again, we were talking about it, Stats is going into Disruptors.
Yeah, love to see it.
Yeah, I guess it's something that he feels a lot more comfortable with nowadays, or now against Solar's style at least.
Yeah, it definitely feels like he's getting a lot more warmed up.
Yeah, well, I would say that
hit those perfect Novas.
Yeah, it's one of those things where that's the benefit of a best of 5 compared to a best of 3. If this was a best of 3, Solar would have won. But this gives time to Stats to allow him to adapt to how Solar is playing and refine his build, refine his composition. Oh my god, can he get the hat trick? Oh god!
Can he get the hatch? Cancels at the last second. Almost kills it, but even still, getting that much of a delay, absolutely gonna be huge here for Solar, who wants to get up into 4 bases nice and comfortably, and then just send units across the map to try to break the Shield of Ire.
Exactly, like Solar, he's working on his Ling Bane, Roach Ravager, like Queen composition again, but like he's been slowed down so often, forced to remake and cancel his hatchery, his 4th twice now. Like, this is not insignificant.
Hey. It really is not so much less lava production for Solar. And as you mentioned, a lot less gas, a lot less minerals. I feel like the time for Solar to have moved across the map has kind of passed.
I mean, he needs to do something soon, because the Disruptors are coming out. The charge is going to finish up shortly. +1 is still a ways away, but Solar, he's slowly ramping up on this army. And again, like, this is a very almost all-in army, you know? Like, there's no Hydras, there's no Spire, there's no Corruptors, there's nothing else. Like, he needs to do something with this here and now. And he's going.
He's gonna try. So Stats has very good eyes with this.
It gets spotted. It does.
And again, trying to take out these rocks just buys Stats so much more time. He's actually putting down shield batteries this time. Like,
he's learning. Stats
he's adapted.
He can open doors, mate. He's throwing down pylons. He's throwing down shield batteries, mate. He should be able to defend against this.
Nice purification, though. Unfortunately, only taking those queens out. But we'll see. I mean, the Zerglings is still very, very fast and very, very scary. It is mostly just the Disruptors on the ground. Beautiful split here in the end with those Banelings.
Yeah,
and yeah, we were praising those shield batteries, but now they're not coming into play.
Exactly. Nicely done there by Solar. He zoned away the entire army, so all the defensive structures were taken out here at the 4th base. Stats, he needs to throw them down at the 3rd. There's nothing here. There's 1 shield battery in the mineral line.
He's regressing light. No.
Oh, God.
He's evolving. But that was a really good purification over. Another really good one. Taking out the vast majority of these Banelings. And the Storms should just about cover the rest. Meanwhile, the Queen's still very far in the back line. Unable to transfuse or any anti-air. 1 battery overcharge. Just about all Stats needs in this position. Sage's Ward is about to finish up, though.
That it is, but you know what? The Archons just finished up as well to help deal with those Lings. It looks like the Disruptors will get taken out, but the Queens are so low.
They are very, very low. They don't have any energy left. It looks like Solar's going to be able to deal with the Archons at least, but look at his warping of Zealots. Solar on the extreme back foot.
Exactly, and as all that was happening, there was a bit of a Zealot run by. It was stifling the reinforcements from Solar, so he couldn't send them out across the map. Another Queen going down, and Stats, despite not having any shield batteries there, only just that 1, which did come into play, to be fair, he was able to hold.
He was, barely not taking out that. I thought for sure that was going to hit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that Observer does survive. It is still there. And now Stats, he can expand. He can take his 4th.
Just like so. Not neglecting it this time.
Oh, God. But here comes Wave 2.
With a 2nd army. Yeah, Wave 2 is on the way. Plays about even on upgrades. The Storms are very nice. But the Banelings do connect. 1 final Storm is just about going to be enough with the Purification Nova. Takes out this entire right-hand attack from Solar. And I gotta tell you, the overall army not looking too good for a Zerg player.
Exactly, it's not too intimidating. I mean, he was able to get the juiciest Baneling connections on those Banelings, but there are still Disruptors here. There are still Archons. The shield batteries are finishing up.
And will unfortunately be battled down. No, one of them is still in providing some more shields. There isn't a Nexus here to provide battery overcharge, but once again, Stats barely holding. I am starting to worry a little bit for Stats here, though. He has lost his fourth base twice now.
Yeah.
If Solar can just continue to do that, he's going to reach a point where he's just going to win this war of attrition.
You know what? Solar's like, yeah, how does that feel? Getting your fourth base tonight twice. You did that to me. No, I do it to you. Oh, God, Stats, he barely has anything here to defend. Again, just these high-tech units. He needs that buffer to help support, but he has sent it across the map. More Zealots going for that run-by.
But Solar taking this very serious this time. Giving a couple of reinforcements on his fringe bases. Trying to kite these charges as best he can. More reinforcements coming in. The Queens are just getting weaker and weaker with every push, but I tell you what, Stats is also losing a lot of resources with every defense.
Oh, that he is. Nice disruptor shots there, especially because they didn't lose any disruptors in the process. Meanwhile, the Zealots are dealing the damage. They are getting on those drones.
Now all Stats has to do is make sure these storms and these purification novas land. It should be good to go. Beautiful Roach run by here from Stats. Or Solar rather, trying to just deny a fourth base once again of Stats.
Yeah, I love it. Again, Solar kind of turning the tables a little bit. Meanwhile,
beautiful storms and the Novas just to clean up any ravages left.
yeah, definitely. I was a little bit worried that those High Templar were going to be caught out once again, but no, this time Stats was on top of it. Stats was on top of those storms and those Purification Novas, and now Stats, he's finally going to get his fourth base up and running. But Solar, he's getting ready. He's getting ready to attack once again.
And this time he is focusing his entire army. Stats with the larger supply though. And that's going to involve carriers pretty soon. This Observer is still alive.
It is still alive.
I cannot understate how important this is for Stats.
Oh God, the Banelings, the Banelings!
Just about taken now, not even able to connect on anything.
And this is the problem. It's such a smart move. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but Stats, he was forced to expand over to the right-hand side. There's no creep here. There's no creep whatsoever. So the Queens are having such a hard time being a part of the fight. The highway is on the other side of the map.
This is what we were begging him to do in game one.
It was. Just expand to the other side where there isn't creep. God damn. Uh-oh.
Oh, but a triple crown coming in onto this main army. Purification Nova getting some decent connections. The storms come in. All of them being popped. Not really taking out the army, but definitely wounding enough of it. That Solar does have to be careful with how he engages.
I mean, what's important is that only 2 disruptors remain. The majority of them were taken down, and the rest of the High Templar are going to be going down as well. Yo, is Solar getting on top of all this?
Just barely able to do so. He does have a shield battery in the back line, ready to pop a battery overcharge. There it is. Very quick warband of Zealots. Going to be confirming for Solar. They need to back away, and the Queens are off creep.
The Queens are off creep. They're so exposed. This is the main bulk of his anti-air, and they get taken down at the same time. Another Zealot run by. 5 drones go down. The hatchery is going to go down.
Jesus Cristo light.
Aye. Like Solar, his economy is in shambles. He's down in workers. He's equal in bases. Like and this base here on the left-hand side is so low as well. Like he's at some point he's gonna run out of steam, or he is running out of steam.
It really feels like Solar is kind of banging his head against the wall. I think he would have been fine that second time he took out that fourth base. Just focus on getting his upgrades. You know, not tunnel visioning and getting a maxed out army to hit again. But he's just been sending in reinforcement after reinforcement, trickling in low amounts of army that Stats just dealing with without too much difficulty.
Yeah.
Nice run by here on the fourth base, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. Solar needs to do this a bunch more times.
Yeah, as you say that, he's going back in, but this time the Archons are here to deal with it. Meanwhile, the main army is pushing through the center of the map, this time with some Hydras for that anti-air. But again, this army is so vulnerable to storms. Never mind, there are no storms. There are disruptor shots there.
There are disruptor shots on an army that's not entirely maneuverable. Muscular Augments actually did finish up for Solar. He's gonna have such a harder time splitting against this with his Hydras.
Oh, that he does. And as you were saying, now the carriers are coming into play as well. The Skytos army is here.
GG is called. We're getting our ace match. I kind of feel like Solar tunnel vision too far in the end there. Again, would have been totally fine after taking out that 4th base a second time and just focus on maxing out, focus on getting his upgrades done. But
Mhm.
I guess Soul's just not used to, having his opponent live this long.
It's one of those things where, like, again, it's an all-in essentially, right? He has to end the game then and there. There's no transition.
Does he though?
That's the question, right?
Does he though?
I think
he was transitioning pretty well when towards the end of that game.
I think in his mind he doesn't want to it's what he wants, right? He doesn't want to transition. He doesn't want to go into like Hydra, Lurker, Viper and all this stuff. So if he can avoid it,
and
he'll
that's very
do it.
Understandable.
Yeah. It's one of those things though where like there were stages of the game where you can do so, right? As you were saying, like you deny the 4th base a couple of times, back off, double expand, or just take a 5th base, right? Tech up, stay at home, defend, and you can get into that late game scenario a little bit ahead. But I think it's just something that he doesn't want to do. he doesn't like just doesn't enjoy it. I don't know.
And yeah, which again, totally understandable. One of the great things about StarCraft 2, after all, is, being able to have your own kind of playstyle. But I'm seeing a lot of hype here for stats in the chat, looking for that reverse sweep, and now it's actually looking very likely here, Light, as we end things off on Oxide LE, the final map we're going to be seeing of the evening. Here in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. He's breathing heavy. The Shield of Ire himself, representing the Afrika Freaks. Are you free?
Down in Malaysia.
He is the player who wants to make that reverse sweep. Chat wants to see him do it. He is Stats. Oi.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing KaiZ Gaming. He was up 2-0 in this series at one point, but now we are here in the ace match. Will this slip out of his grasp? Well, can he clench it? Can he pull it out here? We'll find out. This is it. This is the final game of the series. It is Solar.
Super impressive stats throughout the series. I mean, again, as you said, if it was a best of 3, he'd have just been swept out of the tournament, but he's adapted a little bit every time, as the series went on. Just got a lot more warmed up.
That he has, right? Like Solar has been playing a very similar style, and Stats has been able to make those adjustments that he needs to hold against these big all-ins, these big pushes. And we'll see what happens here on Oxide. We've seen Solar do his big queen push to great effect here against his opponents in patience. So he could try and pull it off again, but I don't know. Stats, he's warmed up, he's ready, he's hyped. He's got that momentum going.
Indeed he does. And Solar a little bit stymied here. I'm assuming those are to saturate the 3rd base location.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they are. Yeah, they rallied there.
Okay, good. They're not chasing. Okay. Terrible otherwise.
Yep, it's all good. He's just trying to mine as optimally as he can from his unnatural natural.
Any unnatural base, I kind of like that term for it. I'm gonna try to patent that, get it official in dictionary. What is an unnatural base? It's when a Zerg player has to take a base at their second base at the 3rd location.
Exactly.
Natural.
That's what it is.
Get on it, Miriam.
Oh boy. Meanwhile, the Adept does get in, and we'll see, because does kill one drone, and Solar has been kind of slipping up in terms of his Oracle defense, right? That's what we saw in the previous game as well. Like, the stasis wards were just getting so much value, too much value. Like, they shouldn't have been that good.
And it all went downhill from there.
Kind of did. I mean,
we talked...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we did mention a couple of times, like, Solar would have been good to just back away after dealing what damage he did and try to transition to the next phase of the game. But, if all of those drones didn't get stasis warded like that, would have had a little more minerals, would have been able to get his upgrades a little bit quicker, maybe a couple more units. His initial attack would have been a lot more potent, and he did look close a couple of times to breaking stats early in that game.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Butterfly effect, you know?
It's one of those things where if his defense was better, then he would have had more resources, he would have had more economy, he would have been able to muster a greater army when the attack did happen, or he could have hit sooner as well. So yeah, that all did come into play in the end.
Yeah, this doesn't happen just in the lower leagues of the game. I know a lot of myself, I feel this a lot when I ladder. I'm like, oh, I messed up my build relies on the timing attack, but I messed up because of the pressure. I think that's something a lot of players, no matter your level, can really, what's it called? Not feel, not empathize. Well, you can do both of them, but relate to. That's a phrase.
Okay, yeah. Definitely is, and I'm sure some of these players do face that. I would assume that a player like Solar would be beyond that, but it is possible. Like, there are players who still get that like pressure feeling going in this high tense situation where you're up 2-0 in a best of 5. You're so close to winning, but just barely.
Ooh, oh, ooh. That poor drone, it came out of the extractor at the exact wrong time. If you notice, Solar actually triggered that stasis warp with a spore crawler, yeah.
That was actually really impressive. That was really nice. Almost worked perfectly.
Just this one drone, wrong place, wrong time. Happens sometimes,
Does just hate to be that one drone. Meanwhile, Solar, he does confirm the third base. Once again, he has his lair. He has his Evo. I was just gonna see the Queen March again.
It's gotta be, right?
To be fair,
Solar has not shown us anything different.
Yeah. And to be fair, the Queens, they're here in position. Okay, there we go.
Chasing away them Void Rays. He knows that Stats is hunting for a fourth base.
He's like, too many times you forced me to cancel my goddamn fort. Let me get it up.
That's all I ask. You can defend my attacks as much as you want from that point forward, but please. Just let me get to that point.
Let me get my goddamn fourth up and running. And so far, he's done a really good job at warding away the Void Rays. He has been able to keep up with them with his Queens. At the same time, there's a lone Void Ray headed towards that base. And I mean, maybe he can find some damage here with it.
Yeah, at least I got the Overseer.
Yeah.
I said at least take out the Overseer Stats. I said at least take out the Overseer.
Oh, okay, the Queens, they move in position to defend against it, but at the same time, the rest of the Void Rays are coming in, but okay, got plenty of Queens, they're all over the place.
Yeah, Stats just taking whatever damage he can get here on the outskirts of the creep, clearing tumors, making it that much more harder for Soul to make his way across the map.
That he does, but now all the Void Rays have come together. They can overwhelm these Queens, but the transfuses are on point. He is forced back, and this time, not too much economic damage has been dealt. But the Oracle dives in.
Yeah, you say that, but this is Stats we're talking about. He is the Oracle man, the Oracle. I was gonna say Overseer because that's like singing in the future, but no, that's a different unit. He is the Oracle of Korea, shall we say?
There you go. He's the Protoss Seer, if you will. That's
the one.
Solar, he's already getting ready for the push. He's already starting to chip away at these rocks. That's what he wants to do so that the rest of his army can just power through there. But meanwhile, here we go at the third base location. Stats. This time he's got plenty of stack defense, and this time it's actually going to come into play.
So many cannons and plenty of shield batteries in that third base location. It's going to be a tough ask for Solar either way. Either he gives up attacking the third base and goes into that sort of ditch between the natural and the third, where it's a lot easier for Stats to come in with a surround, or he tries to fight through that static defense. He needs to plan this out perfectly.
That he does. Regardless, the attack will be happening, and it will be spotted once again by this observer. So Stats is now aware he does have High Templar. Storm isn't done yet, but he also has Disruptors as well.
Yeah, I think that is really the saving grace right now for Solar. He can still try to bait out a couple of Purification Novas and then just, march on through, not worry about Storm, but that time is very quickly passing. These Void Rays are in a lot of trouble. Very nice transfuses from Solar, but really good purification Novas as well. Really forcing the Queen energy to be used before it's ideal for Solar to use it.
Exactly. Nicely done. He's using his cooldown to force wasted energy, essentially, and already so many transfuses have been wasted.
Look at how empty these energy bars are.
Yeah, they're almost non-existent. There's like one transfuse left.
And that's an optimistic estimate.
Oh god, and immediately that transfuse does get used. Meanwhile, the Lings are trying to get on top of the disruptors, but the storms do protect them.
Stats buying himself just enough time here, and Light, Stats, he's doing what Stats does best. Setting up another Zealot run by.
Exactly, he is all about those run bys. He's buying time because as this is all happening, 2 carries are on the way as well.
Needs to get to that point as quickly as he can.
Yeah, and Solar, I mean, he is taking up from here. Like, he just finished up Hive. Adrenal Glands is on the way as well. Oh, God. But he's losing a lot of queens here.
He is starting to be maxed out. He is losing a lot of queens, but he is maxed out. And he wants to make supply. He wants to get out those Ultralisks. So he can just come on top of the army, hug those High Templar to death, and not really worry too much from there.
So he has an answer for the ground army, which is nice, right? The Ultras. Does he have an answer for the carriers, which are going to slowly get higher and higher in numbers?
Just get more queens for it.
He just lost like 6.
Just get more. He's remaking 4.
It's true, he is remaking 4. Meanwhile, there's a bit of a Ling run by, but unfortunately was unable to stop this base from going up.
So the flip side, Stats continue to find little bits of damage here and there. Getting a couple, and I do mean a literal couple, of drones.
Ooh, meanwhile, Solar, it looks like he may be setting something up. Okay, all the Banelings are actually looking to get into the third.
Bust. If he can, nice SimCity here, but there should be enough Banelings here to just bust on through and get on top of these probes. Stats very good at evacuating this out. The meat grinder Light. Solar able to depower a lot of these structures, but not much else. He was going to take out a mineral line, and he was able to do so here in the 4th base.
Yeah, he was able, at least he was able to find some damage here at the 4th base, but that was a lot of gas, that was a lot of Banelings. To be fair, Solar was maxed out, so he had to get rid of them.
He very much so did. Now, we're getting a couple of Ultras on the way, the ideal unit for dealing with High Templar when you don't have much of a buffer on the ground. They can very easily ignore the carriers.
Again, though, what about the carriers? That's my big question here. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to like a Spire for Corruptors or something. Like, he's got some queens. I don't know if that's enough. We'll find out.
That sounds a little bit like a heresy to me, like. I don't think he has enough queens either. I think he needs about 20 supply more.
Yeah, God, we'll see. There's another Baneling run by. So far, he hasn't found any juicy connections, but oh my God.
Now he's just about to get it. But I will say, not the most efficient trades here for the Banelings. It's a lot of gas being thrown down the drain, essentially.
He is keeping the worker count low, though, because Stats, he did just lose 18. Meanwhile, there wasn't the best trade here for Stats either at the 3rd base. He is forced to remake his army. And Solar, slowly but surely, he's working up that Ultralist count. Yeah,
and they're going to come in. They're gonna flank these High Templar. The creep highway has expanded to more of a creep road, really. So a lot of room here for Solar to maneuver around. Good feedbacks, but just not enough High Templar to take out that many queens.
Meanwhile, the Ultras are being used for a run-by, question mark?
Trying to flank?
So that's an expensive run-by.
Trying to flank. It's a very expensive run by, but I mean, High Templar did get dealt with for the most part.
True. He did only lose one Ultra.
There's a couple left, but again, I don't see Satsu too much with them. Good purification. Nova, an even better one there on top of the Banelings. And I think what you said is true, Light. What about the carriers and the Void Race?
That's my big question. I don't know. Maybe I should have
in position.
Maybe I should have more faith in these queens, or maybe my faith is fine, and like we'll see. Because the ground army is being dealt with, but
What about the air? Too much of a mispositioning here from Solar. The Queen's not helping much while the ground army just gets completely evaporated. No energy into Queens either. Yeah, you're right.
Oh god, they don't have
not much anti-air left.
Exactly, and Solar, he still hasn't thrown down a Hydrogen, he hasn't thrown down a Spire, he's still committing to Queen production. And they're just being whittled away at.
I think you can really tell Solar's not used to his EVPs going on for this long.
Exactly. He's like, what's going on? Like, usually I can end the game with Queens. We're 15 minutes into the game, mate. I don't think a single carrier has fallen. He hasn't lost a single Void Ray.
Not a Void Ray has fallen either. The anti-air is just not there for Solar.
Ay.
Unfortunately, Solar, he is not in the observer position like us. He is unable to see that.
Yes, in his mind, he's killed many carriers already. Yeah, he's killed all the carriers.
In his mind, the Ultralisk just jumped into the air.
He's been spending too much time with patience. See? My god. All right.
But unironically, I believe they stay in the same city.
Okay, here we go. The Queen count is getting higher once again. He is slowly gathering that energy for those transfuses. Will it be enough though? We'll see. As Stats is feeling confident enough to finally push out across the map, he's going to force the fight.
He is with players close to maxing out. Stats still needs to be a little bit more careful, I would say. He is not quite there when it comes to maxing out and doesn't have much of a bank, but does force Solar to use up most of his supply and use up just about all of his bank.
Ooh, that he does. And you know what? The Ultras, they are getting on top of everything on the ground. No more High Templar, no more transfuses. Ooh, a couple of Biles do land on the carriers. But
that's not quite going to be enough. I love how Stats was able to force this fight outside of creep. If you notice, the Queens, they took so long to get to this fight that by the end they did.
Yep.
This anti-air does not have much trouble. GG Stats in a reverse sweep is going to be your ESL Open Cup 57 champion. Maintaining his championship record. My god. Stan in the chat, Solar. He's about to complain on Twitter. I think complain about Protoss again.
He's gonna complain, why do I have to make something other than Queens? This is ridiculous.
You know what it's gonna be? You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be, my sources lied to me, true. He told me all I needed was Queens.
Huh?
This turned out to be false. Back to the drawing board.
Exactly. He's gonna start Funaraing, Patience and Armani. Like, I was told plus one carapace timings. I was told plus 2 carapace timings. The Mass Queen. Why is this not working? To be fair, it did work.
I am going to have to fire them.
To be fair,
Get new advisors.
It did work for Solar in game 1 and game 2. To be fair, it worked initially.
It worked very well. He completely smashed Stats. I was very surprised. It looked like Stats was just getting, just sort of getting sucker punch. He hit at such brilliant timings that it broke the shield of ire. But Stats, again, a very adaptable player, switched things up little by little as the series went on, and just got a lot more comfortable using his spellcasters, like his High Templar, like his Disruptors. Worked out for the best.
It did. It very much so did. Stats was able to utilize this longer series format to his advantage to figure out his opponent, to adapt, and to just shut down these pushes by Solar, and Solar just didn't find any success with them afterwards. It was close. Like, you could argue game 4 maybe Solar would have been able to win if like so much harassment was being dealt to him, right? Whether it was a stasis wards, whether it was his 4th base being denied constantly. But regardless, at the end of the day, GG Stats wins the tournament.
Well played. He does in fact win that tournament once again, just maintaining his own record for amount of ESL Open Cup Asia's won. And this is a neat little, I mean, to be fair, it's still quite a ways off. I'm viewing things monthly now here, Light. I'm like, oh yeah, we're in February. I am still pretty close, right? It's still about 2 weeks away for the round of 36.
That's not that long, to be honest.
I mean?
2 weeks away. Damn. Yeah, you're right. Like, I Am Katowice, it's right around the corner. But before we get to I Am Katowice, we still have plenty of ESL Open Cup Asias to go through.
NNAs, NEUs, and many of these other weekly tournaments for Asia and Korea. We still have a lot of Oli Mo leagues. We still have the NA Apprentice Cup. Actually, I think you are having that. You're casting that this week, I believe. I guess it's not necessarily for the top players, but I'm not talking about NA Apprentice Cup. I'm actually mean NA Contender. That's what I meant.
There you go. There you go. As we will return with ESL Open Cup Americas. I will be joined by Milk and Cookies. We'll be covering that. Then Wednesday is our 1 day off. That's the only day we have to calm down from StarCraft. Really, all that means is I spend the entire day editing VODs from the previous week of StarCraft. So.
Yeah, boy.
And making thumbnails and scheduling, and it's great. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And then we get right back into it with NA Apprentice Code A. It is the final day of Code A there. If you're interested in NA StarCraft, then we have you sorted there. And then we have the rest of our regular scheduled events. So if you're interested, if you want some more StarCraft, if you want some more CranKy Ducklings, then follow us on the social medias: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Discord. We are all over the place. You'll be notified when we go live. And thank you all for watching. Yaku, where can people find more of you?
In the kitchen, eating food. Twitch.tv/Yakuzaku1. Twitter.com @Empora Yakuzaku. I did promise I'm gonna stream tomorrow. Gonna get some ladder done, get my Terran games in so I can play in SDO on Friday. Might be playing some other games as well. Yeah, stay tuned. Maybe, maybe not. Exclamation mark Discord in the chat. You can find myself as well as Light, as well as every other member of CranKy and many other CranKy adjacent folks like the Stan. We mostly hang about over there. Other than that, buy my shirts. Where can we find you, Light?
You can follow me at Light_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. You can follow me there on the social medias if you so wish. But other than that, thanks for watching, everyone. Exclamation mark Patreon in the chat if you want to support us, if you want to support our tournaments. It is set up to fund all of our stuff. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I can see it looks like the stream has dropped, and it has dropped again. Unfortunately.
Stay tuned for the VOD.
Yeah, Funada, Australian internet. I'm so sorry, everyone. But thanks everyone for watching. We appreciate it. Dropping
recording. It's fine. Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Dropping like drop bears. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bella.